when we do stuff, we have different meanings to different symbols, and different kinds of lines mean different things, okay? So one of the things I want you to do, oh, and by the way, as I'm drawing this stuff, kind of do me a favor and pay attention to how big I'm doing it on my paper, and you need to do it similarly on yours. That is to say, if I draw this line on here and it's 9 or 10 squares long, you need to do your paper, it should be 9 or 10 squares long. If I'm drawing these one row apart, you should come, maybe do yours one or not more than 2 rows apart. Why am I saying this? Because sometimes people do this, they see it drawing really big on the screen here, and then they draw on their paper and it's really huge. And then we don't have any room to draw anything else, which is, we're going to need room to draw other things. So kind of, as I'm doing these things, you have to pay really close attention to details, like how big stuff is on the grid, and you need to do the best you can to replicate that on your own paper. Construction line, and this is meant to be really done really very lightly. I'm not using a lot of pressure. Notice how I did use short little strokes as if maybe it were a brush, and I'm using very light pressure on my paper to do this, okay? And the advantage is that if I draw construction lines and I need to erase stuff away, erase these construction lines away, they'll erase away almost completely or completely. As opposed to what some of you guys do, if you draw really darkly and you need to erase something, if you draw really darkly, is it going to go away? No. If you erase it, you can get most of it away, but we'll have a little bit of residue left behind, and then that sort of subtracts from the quality of the drawing in terms of being neat and clear. So when we're drawing in this kind of drawing, it's neatness counts, all right? Neatness counts a bunch. So now I've done a little construction line again, but if I like the look of it, I can go back over it, and I'm going to use more pressure. And this is an object line. And this represents the drawing, the thing I wanted to draw. And so I drew it lightly with short pencil strokes. I drew lightly, and then I went over it and darkened it in. Okay? So this is the technique one of the things I want you to get and be able to do is to go lightly and then darken in. And so that hopefully we're going to be able to make nice, neat, dark lines. And what do I mean by neat? I mean that these lines are not jaggedy. I mean that the lines are consistent darkness and a consistent thickness. You see how my lines is not super thick on one side and thin on the other, okay? When you go to draw stuff later on, your lines, when I say consistency, they need to be a consistent darkness, all the lines. They need to be consistent thickness. So we don't have some lines that are light and some lines that are dark. You know, some lines are really thick and some lines are thin, okay? So consistency is important for making it nice and neat, all right? So far, so good. So object line, and then we're going to do, so these first 2 lines, construction lines and object lines, you're going to need to be able to draw. Don't draw it yet. But this one now is a hidden line. And then we have a center line. And I really just need you guys to recognize this. I don't necessarily need you to render them. But we need to know kind of what that means. For example, later on, it's possible for you in the computer software to turn on hidden lines so you can see line work and geometry for the object you're creating. You can kind of give you X-ray vision, sort of. And you're going to be able to see what's going on behind. Okay? And that's a feature that you want to maybe take advantage of. But if you accidentally turn it on and you don't know what's going on, you don't understand what you're seeing, then you don't know how to interpret what's happening. Okay? So that's hidden line and center line we'll talk more about in a minute. Then we have some other lines we're going to do. After our measurement unit, we're going to talk about applying measurements to our drawings. And these are extension lines. And these are dimension lines. And normally there would be like a number here that represents that. Okay? And dimension lines are something that you're going to need to be able to draw for me. So let's take a couple of minutes right now. Notice how long are these? These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 looks like 11 long. Okay, so start in one corner and work your way through this right now. Make the construction line nice and light and don't darken it in. And then do an object line and start off lightly and then darken it in. And we can do a dash line, center line, extension lines, and dimension lines. Do those now for me, please.